Hey there, I'm Mike Field, and I'm the co-host for the Capital Region Business Podcast. Today, on episode 6, my co-host, Ryan Hanley, is speaking with Dominick Purnomo of DPs in downtown Albany. We're going to speak with him about what he's doing to use his network and step up for the Feed Albany-COVID-19 relief. You're not going to want to miss it.
What's up, man?
Not much, buddy. Not much. Just wrapped up my workout, so pardon me if I'm out of breath.
Oh, good for you. What are you doing for workout?
Just doing a metabolic online, trying to at least some days. It's tough to get motivated from home though.
Yeah, I keep telling myself I'm going to get up and run in the morning because, like,
I see you walking through though, taking the dogs around the neighborhood.
Yeah, that's my time. Is I take the dogs for the walk. I try to do your neighborhood, the outside loop of East Hills, which is like 2 miles, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's decent. It's not running or real strenuous.
Yeah, it's something though. Better than it's tough. It's tough, especially when the weather's crappy and it's raining and cloudy and
Just in general too, like Lauren and I were talking about this the other day, just like the general just this whole thing, which is so big and crazy, and I don't think anyone's really prepared, mentally prepared for this. It's like tough to just get up, like in general, to like get your energy to that next level right now. It's just I don't know. There's something about everything that's going on. It's very difficult.
Yeah, because there's so much unknown. So it's like, what's today gonna bring?
Yeah.
Don't even turn the TV on because
I know. And then I think the other part of it too is like, I don't know. It's like you said, there's so much unknown, and a big part of that brings like indecision, and like that filters into every other aspect of your life.
Every other decision, yeah.
Like, am I supposed to be going to Price Chopper today? You know what I mean? Like, should I be wearing a mask? Should I be wearing gloves? Like, if I go to Price Chopper twice, am I not social distancing? Am I now an a-hole? You know what I mean? Like all these things that like go through your head that are, I don't know, right or wrong. I think everyone's kind of dealing with it.
And I think all the little things that we took for granted on a daily basis, I mean, like sending the kids off to school, going to the gym, being social, going to work, having lunch with a colleague, all those normal routine things that like now, I mean, it's been a month. Like, do you remember what it's like to have dinner in a restaurant? Do you remember what that's like?
It's weird. What's funny is when you do get a chance to be around someone, right? And you try to keep your distance, and the whole thing, which I'm obviously pro social distancing. It's working. You can tell how thirsty and hungry people are to just share space with them. And I found that over this last month when I walked the dog, people have progressively like gotten more into like the eye contact and the wave when you walk by, when, a month ago, people just head down, like they're almost like, look, I have my earbuds in, like don't talk to me. Now they're like, is he going to look? Is he going to, hey, how are you? It's funny how that happens.
Yeah. I mean, we're social beings as humans, that's what we do. And I think, if you look at most of the things that we do, we go to restaurants, we go to bars, we go to gyms where people are gathering, we go to, community, we're community minded, and, there's events, there's galas, there's all these fundraisers and things like that, now that we've been a month without that, with basically just having physical contact with our own families, it's, like even a handshake, it's like, that's so foreign these days.
I know. Who did I shake hands with the other day? I shook hands with someone the other day. I probably shouldn't be. I'm probably going to get like a scarlet letter mailed to my home, but I shook hands with someone the other day, and like it was the first time in 4 weeks that I had shaken hands with somebody. And I can't even remember who it was. It was a buddy of mine. Well, it doesn't matter. I just remember the moment of like, wow, this is weird. Like, here's someone, it was a buddy of mine. Fuck, who? It doesn't matter. And I just had this thought of like, one, I enjoy this. Like, I enjoy that contact. Like, I like the bro hug, with family members. I like the cheek kiss, with women and stuff. Like, I like that. Like, I like that contact and connection that you build with people, and like someone feeling willing to say, like, we're close enough that we can, slap up, or give some dap or whatever. Like
Yeah.
that to me, I guess my hope is, and I want to tie this into, because I think what you do and what you're doing plays a major role in this. I hope that coming out of this thing, we have a much larger appreciation for those moments.
Yeah.
Like, I think before it was like, oh, I got to go see those people today. Like, I'm hoping that now we're like, these moments that we get to connect with each other are priceless.
Nobody's ever going to say no to an invitation ever again.
Exactly. And this is a big part of why I wanted to have you on the show, especially now, like your business, your restaurant, your industry, that you both are a part of and are a huge spokesman for and supporter of, like it plays a major role in creating those moments of connection.
Sure. Yeah.
And, I don't know that I have an agenda outside of, I want to hear what you're doing and how people can get involved and support the things that you're talking about. You've been very outspoken and you're doing a lot of good things, but like, how do you see us coming back together? Like, how do you see that from your space and just the people that you're talking to?
I mean, I'm on the board of the State Restaurant Association. We had a call yesterday, and we're starting some communication with the governor's office, and how they see things sort of coming back in, and it's going to be a phasing process. It's going to be 25-30% occupancy max, to grow. So it's not like they're going to flip on a switch and all of a sudden, my bar's going to be too deep and every table is going to be there and everybody's going to be hugging and kissing and air kisses and, all that. It's going to be some time before that happens, and I like in the back, I can see it. Like I can taste that moment, like when those doors open and everybody's coming in, and, it's just going to be, it's going to be a beautiful moment, but it's going to take time. It's still, the social distancing thing and the quarantining and staying at home it's working. I mean, it's flattening the curve. You see the numbers are far below what they could have been, which is wonderful. We're saving lives by doing this. We're sacrificing for that. But I think also at the same time it's going to be a long time before there's a sense of normalcy. And I don't know that normalcy is ever going to be what it was before. It's certainly not for a long time. I think, we remember life before 9/11, remember life after 9/11, and a lot of things changed. And I think this is going to be another one of those, keystone moments that, you're going to remember life before, March 11th of 2020. And you're going to remember how it, was after that day.
Yeah. There's big parts of that make me very sad, because what I hope happens and what I think will happen are very different. Mm-hmm. My hope is that we take more time out for lunches at our favorite dining spot, that we go and we bring our kids to dinner more, and we share experiences and stuff, because we've been locked in, and even if they start to let us out, we're still going to be locked in to some extent for a while. And my hope is that we embrace these things as much as possible. My fear is that, like the changes post 9/11, it creates more separation. And that's the thing that worries me, because I just don't know that that's good for us as humans. But I also don't know how to get past it. I mean, the Spanish flu took 3 years. It took 3 years for them to get back to some semblance of normalcy. We're trying to do it in 3 months. And
I mean, science and technology certainly have come a long way in 100 years, but there's still a lot of bureaucracy. There's still a lot of red tape. Even if they came up with a vaccine today, by the time they were on trials and get it approved and run to the FDA, you're still talking a year out.
Yeah.
Which is, it's still there's still a lot. As far as we've come, we certainly still have a long way to go, I think. When this happened, I can remember that Monday afternoon, like sitting down 52, members of my staff and telling them that, we're temporarily closing. In my head, I was like, 2 weeks, like 14 days, maybe, like, and then like within, 3 or 4 days, I knew that we were in it for probably 8 weeks at that point.
Yeah.
And then even then, so we're 4 weeks into it. We got another 4 weeks to go. I mean, the days are going by a little bit faster, but it's just trying to find some sense of rhythm and, keeping kids occupied and, finding new things to do. And, it's definitely a challenge on a day basis, because you don't know what's like. Looking outside right now, it looks like a beautiful day, so it'd be good to get outside and kind of, run around with the kids. But, it's like, then it's going to rain the rest of the week. So then we're all stuck inside the house. So it's,
Yeah.
so you're just constantly trying to find activity and things for, not just like, to get out and move and have some physical health, but also like to clear our minds, because staring within the same four walls, and part of, with the Feed Albany thing is that, it gets me out of the house 3 or 4 days a week and gives me some sense of accomplishment and purpose, because, I've worked 60, 80-hour weeks for 20 years, like to just stay home and like, I can't work from home. There's nothing that I can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like I can, if there even was a restaurant to run, I can't do it from home. So, at least with that, it gives, helps certainly keep my sanity at some semblance, at some level of calm,
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that because I definitely struggle with that every day. And I talk to my wife about it. I found myself jobless, then took every penny that I had and put it into a new business that launched 2 weeks before the entire economy was shut down.
Yeah.
So I wake up and I do stuff. I mean, I'm in my office. Thankfully, at least to the insurance industry, there's work that I can do from here. But you have this sense of like lack of purpose, right? Like, and that I found at different times, and that comes in waves. And I'm sure being that your experience is going to be very different in that you don't have like a home office that you can talk to people from or whatever. But like because you have the restaurant, but that is a very difficult thing to work through that I have never had to deal with before. Waking up and being like, what am I going to do? Like, I can't call anybody. Feels kind of inappropriate to hammer people with like cold calls about their insurance during this. So like, you feel like you're sitting on your hands, So, but what I've seen you do that I've thought was amazing, and I'm very, I just think it's great. I don't know what the right terminology is. I just think it's really wonderful. Is you've kind of taken this time and you've been an advocate for your industry, and you've taken leadership on different initiatives to help the people who have been laid off or furloughed, depending on the case. And I want to hear about that. Like, what is it about you or your mission or the industry in general that you kind of took the hit? I'm sure you had moments, that weren't 100% positive, but in many ways you've kind of turned it back around and refocused that energy. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. As far as the industry advocacy thing goes, restaurants employ, about 15 million people throughout the country. We're talking about 10% of the workforce. It's $1 trillion industry. The restaurant employs more people than any other private entity, with the exception of government. It's the biggest employer. And sort of there's the too small to fail. The reason they had to save, Chrysler and Ford and Chevy was because, the American auto industry was too big to fail. The reason they had to bail out Citicorp and JP Morgan and Chase and all that was because they were too big to fail. It's a huge industry, and we need, unfortunately, we don't have, restaurants operate in such small margins. You're talking single digit margins at best. 95% of the money that comes into a restaurant goes back out, whether it's to, liquor companies or, rent or, purchasing food, labor, obviously, being all huge costs. So we don't have, as an industry, we don't have that huge voice in Washington to say, hey, we have these lobbying firms who are going to, so we have to, bang our own drum. And, the last time, post 9/11, a lot of restaurants had issues. During the 2008 financial crisis, there were a lot of issues. But there was no assistance for small businesses, for the mom and pops. And when we were looking at this, when restaurants were the first ones to basically be told, we were the first businesses to be affected. And you have a workforce that represents a wide swath of the population. You know, you have a lot of people who are coming here as immigrants. You know, it's their first job. We have people who are, you know, maybe don't have a college education, and, you know, they've come up through restaurants. Then you have, you know, obviously there's some bigger corporate, you know, restaurant groups and stuff like that throughout the country. But, you know, when you look at the restaurant, you know, employment as a whole, I mean, certainly a picture of America. You know, it's a lot of female-owned businesses, a lot of minority-owned businesses, a lot of, you know, one of the bigger employers of you know, minorities and immigrants throughout the country. So it certainly paints a good picture versus perhaps, you know, some other industries which may just be, you know, a little more, you know, sort of, you know, the old boys club kind of thing. So, you know, when you look at the effect that restaurants have, and you're starting to see it now, you know, you're seeing farmers who are basically tilling over their crops because there's no restaurants, you know, to buy them. The 3 million gallons of milk a day are getting dumped because, you know, schools are out, and because there's no restaurants and there's no schools purchasing dairy, it's going to waste, you know, and that has a big effect. You know, you look at the concentric circles, you look at the linen companies who now aren't doing any business. You look at, you know, I mean, the only ones that are still doing some revenue is the alcohol distributors, because retail, on the other side, retail liquor stores across New York State are up 55%. You know, so what does that tell you about what's going on right now? But, you know, the distributors are still down. They're just, you know, there's, you know, most of their business, a lot of it was to restaurants, and now it's solely to, you know, to retail wine stores. So, you know, it's a big wide effect. So unless people can, you know, keep their people employed, continue to pay their bills, continue to pay their rents, you know, that's, you know, you're looking at about 600,000 restaurants across the country. That's 600,000 rents or mortgages that aren't getting paid right now. You know, that's 600,000 banks or landlords who aren't getting there. And, you know, so it just, the circle grows bigger and bigger and bigger.
So, what are some of you have some good initiatives going that you're working with? Like, I'd love to hear about both, and I'm going to butcher the name, you said it before, where you're helping feed and helping support, local restaurant industry workers.
Sure.
And then I also want to hear a little bit more about, some of the stuff you're doing, lobbying the state government to help with some of these initiatives. And my point in two, just to give you some context, is people who are listening, I want to help provide them with paths to help support you and what's going on if they have the ability.
Sure. So there's a couple of them. Right now we have tipyourbartender.online, which is basically a website where we have about 400 out of work hospitality people. And they have, you know, there's a little blurb about, you know, what they do and where they work. And then it has a link to their social media and their Venmo. You can either directly tip them, you know, so we say when you're pouring yourself a beer or a glass of wine at 5 o'clock, you know, jump on the website, you know, throw a tip to one of them. And we also have a general fund, you know, so people can contribute to that. And then every week we, whatever comes in, we divide it up over the 400 or so people that are on there. So this is a great way to put, you know, a couple of bucks right into, you know, your favorite hospitality workers' pockets. You know, and obviously people are still struggling to get on unemployment. You know, it's been almost a month now, and there's still people who haven't been able to get on yet. And then probably the one that you know is taking up most of my time these days is Feed Albany, and we have a website called feedalbany.com. And what it started was basically myself and Jason Pierce from Savoy Tap Room on Lark. We wanted a way to, you know, to at least make sure that people in our industry were, you know, not going without food. You know, because most restaurants, we have what we call family meal, you know, where we put up like a big sort of, you know, buffet meal, and, you know, people just kind of graze through, you know, before we start dinner service. You know, so a lot of people, that's, you know, at least one of their big meals a day. So now all of a sudden you look at that, and people that now are already financially stressed become even more food insecure. So we started the website, started a GoFundMe to go along with that. We solicited donations from some of our distributors. And so that has actually grown tremendously. So not only now do we feed out of work hospitality people, we're feeding first responders, you know, police departments, the sheriff's department. You know, we're giving meals to them as a thanks. we fed the emergency department in ICU at Albany Med. We've done the same at the VA. We have about 650 families right now that we're feeding throughout Albany County that we've gotten through DSS, some families who need some additional assistance. We have homebound seniors who, obviously for health reasons don't want to be exposed by leaving their home. So, we do meal drops for them every day. We have some cancer patients who obviously, have immunity issues right now as well.
Yep.
We deliver food to them. So it's grown. Right now we're doing about 5,000 to 6,000 meals a week, which has been, it's been a huge community effort. We have 4 different kitchens now. Myself, Savoy, we're using Lark Tavern, 216, Rue. So we have quite a lot of restaurants in the area that are all, everybody's banded together and, making sure that those in our community who are in need are not kind of falling through the cracks.
So if someone's listening to this and they want to help financially, they go to feedalbany.com. There'll be buttons and stuff they can find. Everything's right there.
Takes you to our GoFundMe page. Everybody that works, we have, like in our kitchen, we have about 6 or 7 people a day who volunteer their time to cook. And then we have about another 6 or 7 community volunteers who come in and help package meals. So we have professional cooks and chefs that are doing the cooking during the day. And then about 3 o'clock, we have people come in and we start packing all the meals. And like I said, between all the places, we're doing about 6,000 to 7,000, between 5,000 and 7,000 meals per week. And it's continuing to grow because, as time goes on, people are out of work longer and longer. There's more of a need for assistance. So, and like I said, we do get some food donations, but with that money, what we're doing is we're purchasing food to continue to cook every day. And then, we obviously, we have transportation, so we rented a van and, we have that, but again, fully staffed with volunteers. So everybody's doing it, from their heart. So it's
do you need more volunteers if people are looking for something to do or just want to be part of it?
Albany.com and first off, of course, if you're in need, if you know anybody who's in need, if you have, let's say, a great aunt who's 85 years old and, she is having trouble getting out, you can go on there and sign her up and we'll make sure that, we can do what we can for her. You can sign up to volunteer. You can of course, sign up for, to give funds as well. So everything is right there on feedalbany.com.
Well, I've seen what's been the Business Review, I think, has done a good job. The Times Union's done a good job of capturing some of these stories. And, I think that this is one of the most important initiatives that we have going on in our community today. And I want to make sure that people hear about that. Kind of being respectful of your time, but I'm also very interested in this, like, your part, you said you're, I forget, you said president or just part of the board of the state restaurant?
Director, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you and a group of your peers are starting to lobby the state. How is that going? What are you hearing from them? I know you gave us the 25 to 30% occupancy might be a first step. Like, is that just inside? What about outside? Like, what are you hearing from them?
It's right now. I mean, it's going to be, they're going to be extremely conservative about it. We're talking about, perhaps servers and guests having to wear masks, while they're there. I've heard perhaps no bar service in the beginning. So, it's not like you can belly up to the bar. But, we're talking about more social distancing. You would need 10 feet between each table. So a lot of this is very preliminary, but, it's gonna take some time. And you look up you look at a lot of the things that are economic drivers for restaurants, like concerts at the Palace or concerts at, Times Union Center or sporting event, Saratoga. That's it's kind of looking more bleak by the day that they may run the horses, but there may not be anybody in the stands.
Yeah.
So you're looking at all of those. Again, we talk about those concentric circles of restaurants, that is going to continue to, play a big part in how the reopening goes. So, we're certainly hoping for, maybe a little more aggressive schedule, but, again, keeping people safe and healthy is everybody's biggest priority, ours included. So the last thing we want to do is to rush it. And then, 2 months later, we're back in the same position we are now, so I think it needs to be methodical. We need to follow the science. We need to follow, the doctor's advice. And, and take it from there. You know, there's what I'm hopeful for, and there's what I'm realistic of, and I think that they don't necessarily intersect at times.
Yeah, I know. You know, from one of the things that I've been exposed to in my, in being in the insurance industry is just talking to a lot of people in a lot of different industries, and you know, I'm concerned. I personally am concerned just in general about. I just don't like when I guess my personal opinion comes down and is to like when it's time to come back, like we have to come back. Like at a certain point, like the ramifications of the economy being on lockdown are going to be irreconcilable. You know what I mean? There's a certain point at which, you know, it just doesn't come back. And I'm hoping that, you know, I'm hoping the numbers are trending well. I'm hoping that we're starting to get better at testing, understanding the numbers, you know, and I hope that, I guess my hope, you know, if anyone in politics is listening, which there may or may not be, is that, you know, we don't hesitate. I hope we don't hesitate for personal political gain versus getting people back to work. Like that is, I don't know that we're going to hold our politicians accountable as much as as we are concerned about getting back to work. Like there's no way to make the right answer here. That's my thought. And I whether you're on the right or the left or wherever, I don't know that anyone knows the answer. And I just hope we keep working together. I hope we don't start posturing on either side. I mean, obviously people already are, but you know, I think it's boots on the ground, people like yourself, man, doing awesome stuff as much as you can in what is really a trying time. I feel for you. You know, we've known each other for a while, and I just, you know, I know, you know, for as much as I can, I want this to be, I'm hoping people donate, they support, they're part of it. You know, I signed, as soon as I saw that letter you came out, I signed it, sent it off to Gillibrand or whoever I had to send it to. And, you know, that kind of stuff. I think as we're home, for those listening, you know, these initiatives are important, and we have to be engaged. Just watching someone and saying, oh, that's too bad, that's not enough. Like, get involved. Donate to Feed Albany. If there's an initiative that's going on that you can sign to help an industry, sign the initiative, get people back to work. You know, these are important stuff, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the support, Ryan.
Yeah. Well, for those listening at home, you know, hey, Dom, where can people get at you, like online personally? If they just want to connect with you, they want to reach out to you, where's the best way to just hit you up?
At Dominick Purnomo is pretty much all my social media handles. So you can find me there: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. I don't TikTok yet, but we'll see.
I'm just a voyeur on TikTok. I don't engage. That is funny as hell, though, some of the things people do.
I don't get to jump on that yet.
Yeah. So if you're listening at home, reach out to Dom. If you can help in some way, please do it. You go to Feed Albany. Man, I appreciate your time. I wish you and your family nothing but the best, and in these trying times, and we'll see you soon. All right, buddy?
I look forward to having you guys in for dinner when this is over.
Oh, we can't wait.
All right, buddy.